Hello! I could hear the eerie sound of wind and rain. Once again, I hazily regained consciousness on top of the bed. The finger that the witch had bitten off was attached to my hand. That's not to say that it was all an illusion, but my finger was now attached. After all, the pain in the teeth marks as though a witch had bitten it were still there. And yet, the window which I had supposedly smashed had been fixed as though it had never been broken in the first place. How can I escape from this creepy room? Why am I locked up in this eerie room, all alone? I want to get out. I have to get out. Please, let me out. The door was sealed with a firm chain. I could open it a crack, but only enough to peek out into the corridor at best. Even getting just a fist through it would probably be hard. The window wouldn't budge either. It was no better than a barred prison window. The bathroom didn't even have a window. The only thing that could get out of there was the water that flowed out if you turned on the tap. No matter what I do, I can't think of a way out of here. While shut up in a place like this, I truly am a prisoner. Unless someone comes from outside to save me, I won't be able to get out for all eternity. In that case, can't I just call for help? Yes, the tiny gap I can make in that door must exist so that I can call for help. But can I make the words come out? Earlier, I tried to call out for help, but for some reason, the words couldn't escape my mouth. Maybe I was just confused. I might have lost my voice in my haste and confusion. I'll open the door and make that crack appear one more time. The warm light of the hallway flowed in, making the darkness of the room stand out all the more. Though I couldn't hear any voices, I did feel something peaceful. I'm sure everyone's in the room at the other end of the hallway, chatting happily about something. If I can just call out, surely someone will come to save me. Holding back some indescribable fear, I tried yelling once more. But the result was the same. It was like trying to yell underwater. All I did was get out of breath, unable to call out in the slightest. Even though I could say as much as I wanted if I just grumbled to myself inside the room, whenever I tried to make my voice reach outside, I choked and was unable to say anything. I understand. My body isn't the only thing locked up in this eerie closed room. My voice is too. Thinking that I could use some other kind of sound to call for help, I tried opening and closing the door violently, making the chain rattle. It does sound as though it's clinking noisily, but it's surely no good. Even this sound is being locked inside this closed room. No matter how harsh a sound I make, I'm sure it'll be quieter than a leaf falling by the time it reaches the other end of the corridor. I tried using the hateful chain that sealed the door to make a sound to call for someone, but that only deepened my despair. This chain. That's insane. Just a second ago, it was a stiff chain that looked like it might be used to seal a monster away. But at some point, it had transformed into a normal chain lock. This changes everything. Now I can just undo it from the inside. I tried to undo it, but the chain wasn't long enough for that while the door was still open a crack, and I couldn't get it off, obviously. Calm down. I gulped and calmly closed the door. Then, when I saw that the chain had slackened enough, I touched it with my finger to make sure. When I was little, I hated chains because I could never get them undone right. However, that was a long time ago. Now, I can undo something like this. Anyone could. It's easy. I imagined the demon who'd locked me in this room using this as a trap to give me hope, just to make me despair even more. But I pushed those thoughts aside for the time being. I undid the chain lock, and the chain dangled there right before my eyes. Now, there's no lock sealing this door. Please, don't torment me anymore. And just open normally. Holy, the door opened. When I closed the door to undo the chain, the warm light from the hallway got cut off. If I opened it again, what if that warm light is gone this time? I was even afraid of stuff like that. However, that was just me over-imagining things. Slowly. Quickly. No, I guess this is normal for a door. As the door let out in an annoying creak, the exit from this closed room finally opened. I did it. I did it! Even my cry of joy was strangled. But that doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is that I can get out. I poked my head out and looked left and right down the corridor. The warm corridor. I could sense people having fun at the other end. Everyone's right there. Let's go right now. Yeah. At that moment, something cold and heartless crushed my throat. It was as though an iron loop had been fastened around my neck and pulled on hard from behind. Oh, not as though. Without my knowing. At some point, a thick metal collar had been fastened around my neck. When did this happen? When I turned around, I despaired even more. Out from the inner side of the door I had just opened, a thick chain had extended and attached itself to this collar I was wearing. I pulled on it, but it didn't even budge. When I shook it, the whole door creaked. What? The heck? The chain that connected to my collar was attached to the inner side of the door. Yes, the same vanishing chain that had secured the door a short while back had suddenly become a chain holding me in place. That's insane. That's insane! Darn, what's going on here? I pulled with all my strength, trying to tear the whole door off, but I already knew from repeated experiments that it wouldn't even budge. I'm sure this chain will disappear once I go back inside the room, but it'll never let me leave that room. Though I apparently turned back into a normal chain lock, nothing had actually changed. The chain lock still bound me to that room. Tears flowing down my face, I pulled with all I had. It was completely useless. No matter what I did, I'd never tear it loose. And I wasn't even permitted to call out for help. I felt a confused anger at how the demon had mercilessly made me think that I had escaped for just an instant. But no matter how much I yelled, no voice came out, and no one on the other end of the corridor could hear me. Then, I noticed an odd stain on the wall of the corridor. It wasn't a stain. They were letters, traced out by a finger that had been covered in red paint. Those letters, which looked like they'd been drawn in blood, answered my biggest question. The chain lock must be set. You're allowed to unset it, but it must then be reset. Unless it is set, this exit of yours will be unusable. I instantly understood the meaning of that ominous message. Then I tried it out, and understood completely. When I returned to the room and reset the chain lock, the collar around my neck disappeared. When I undid the chain lock again, that heavy feeling around my neck returned. In other words, I cannot leave this room while the chain lock is still unset. In that case, why don't I just set the chain while outside the room? I undid the chain one more time. The collar and chain appeared around my neck again. I stepped out into the corridor and closed the door behind me, leaving only the slightest of cracks. I stuck my hand through that crack, grabbed the dangling chain, and tried to reset it somehow. Even though it was so easy to do from the inside. Why is it so hard to do from the outside? The gap needed to be wide if I wanted to manipulate the chain well. However, that made the chain too short to reach. To make the chain reach just a bit further, I'd have to close the door a little bit more. But if I do that, there won't even be enough of a gap to fit my hand in. Of course, that was perfectly natural. Chain locks are made to be used from the inside. They'd be completely pointless if you could set and unset them from the outside. That's why the length of the chain is specially chosen to prevent anyone from setting or unsetting it from the outside. Then, can I use some kind of hard and thin tool? If the gap of the door is just a finger's width across, that's more than enough for the chain to reach. If I could just bend a wire hanger so that it fits through the crack, and work the chain with that. That's right, there's a closet just to the side of the door. Could I miss hangers? Found one! Oh, thank God. A single cheap-looking hanger, like one you might find in a laundry room, was hanging there. Really? I'm pretty sure that when I last looked a short while ago. Nothing like this was in the closet. Who cares? Quickly, quickly! I twisted the wire hanger, bending the end with a tip around. I formed a loop at the end to grab at things with, making for a sort of burglar's tool. I then dashed out into the corridor again and closed the door almost as far as it would go. My wrist could never pass through this. However, if I close it this much, the chain should have extra length to spare. And this crack is large enough for me to stick the hanger through. Now it's just a matter of technique. If I keep trying, I'll definitely be able to do it eventually. I'm certain of it. It's harder than it looks, but the chain is long enough. It isn't impossible. I had finally gotten my hands on the one way to escape. It was hard, yes, but it was theoretically possible. If it's possible, I'll be able to get out. I'll be able to escape from here. Huh? At that moment, I felt a heavy weight on the far side of the door. It felt as though someone inside the room had pressed their forehead against the door, and was drawing closer. And she, the witch, had left. Then, I felt a powerful and strange force on the wire hanger. Is she trying to grab it away from me? Yeah, right. Like heck I'll let go. Like heck I'll let one key out of here get stolen while my guard's down. Fortunately, I'd stuck my wrist through it so that I wouldn't drop it if my hand got tired. You won't be able to snatch this out of my hands. The witch on the other side of the door laughed at me. Then, I noticed something weird. I looked at my left hand, which I had pressed against the door to hold it in place. And between the fingers of that hand, I could see something red. They were red letters. I realized immediately. Red letters. I realized immediately. At some point in time, even more bloody letters had been drawn on the door, and my left hand had been covering them up. Still fighting against the vice-like strength of the witch beyond the door, I moved my left hand to the side. Where that hand had been, bloody letters had indeed been drawn. And there, as though someone had predicted that I'd struggle this way from the very beginning, was a message from the witch to me. It was impossible to set or unset the chain lock from the outside by any means. All tricks done from the corridor had been sealed by red letters. No way. There was suddenly a terrible sound, and the force pulling on the hanger was suddenly released. Then, when I pulled it out and looked, I lost all hope, as though it had been hit by the acid of the room's darkness. The tip of the hanger had burnt and bubbled, and melted off. Now it's pitifully short. This can't be used for anything. It would be useless to search for a substitute. All schemes to set the chain from the outside had been prevented. I threw the remnants of the wire hanger against the floor, faced the hallway filled with a warm light, and called for help. However, I just choked, unable to speak at all. Everyone's just out of clue, and everything's peaceful there. I can't hear their voices, but I know. I'm sure they're all having a good time playing cards. Please, someone notice. Someone, save me! This time, it wasn't the witch's voice. It was the happy voices of everyone else, which I could hear coming from the other end of the hallway. Someone, come over here and save me. Huh? Don't know what that is. George slammed his last card down, ending the game with his victory once again. Everyone gasped in unison. The cousin room was filled with laughter as they enjoyed their card game.
やっぱりジョージの兄貴が持ってたか。憎い。スペードの6が憎い。
バートラのダイヤの8もエグかったぜ。ああ、もう悔しい。
そうだよ。また僕たちの勝ちだね。
Maria couldn't really hold her own in an all-out battle, so she had teamed up with George, which was why she was celebrating his victory.
乾杯です。
Kanon winced and let his cards drop to the table. The game of sevens between Kanon and the cousins had been a fierce battle. Normally, they would take things easy since Maria was there, so this sort of game was rare. Kanon had started taking the game seriously, unwilling to lose. So George and Battler had responded and the battle had grown fierce. Unlike Battler, who was carefree enough to enjoy it with every won or lost, Kanon's mood changed drastically with every victory and defeat. It was less of a dislike for losing and more that he just wasn't used to playing. He wasn't used to trading a few wins and losses with his opponents, so he took even losses within a game seriously. Since he had resolved to win and had unfortunately challenged the veteran players George and Battler, the result was plain to see. As Kanon slumped his shoulders, Jessica slapped him on the back.
惜しかった惜しかった。でも楽しいぜ。本気で戦うのはね。
本気だろうとそうでなかろうと、結果が負けでは何の意味も。
とんでもない。本気で戦った結果の負けならすがすがしいもんだぜ。いい加減に戦っての負けじゃ、本気出してたら勝ってたうんぬんで未練タラタラでしょ。
そうだな。全力を尽くしたやつは言い訳しない。そして結果に関わらず爽やかなもんさ。そうだね。そしてそういう人間が一番怖いのさ。そこから必ず何かを学び成長するからね。
確かに僕は臆病だから何も学ばなかった。だから未だに未熟なんだ。
I am furniture, so any dreams I might have are pointless. Because he'd rigidly believed that, he distanced himself from everything, shutting himself away. However, during that same time, Shannon had undergone many life adventures, and now her hand was resting on the door separating furniture and humans. The old Kanon would only have seen this card game as a way to pass the time. However, the new Kanon was now capable of gaining something new from this experience. That's probably what it means to grow. Furniture does nothing but rot with the passage of time. The ability to grow is a privilege given only to humans.
一緒に遊んでくれてありがとう。西とか書いたり忙しかったんだろ。付き合ってくれて本当にサンキューだぜ。
いいえ。
So sweet.
僕も楽しかったです。いえ、これが楽しいことなんだって理解できました。僕を無理に誘ってくれてありがとうございます。
私たちはさ、もっともっといろいろなことに挑戦していこう。そして君が知らなかったものを探しに行こう。それでさっきの話だけどさ、ギターとか興味ない？ 別に無理にとは言わないけど、その
きっと難しいでしょうね。
まあね。でもさ、そこは丁寧に教えるし、練習は私も付き合うから。まあ言うほど私もうまくないんだけどね。
At first, Kanon was scared that he might make a complete fool of himself if he touched a musical instrument for the first time in his life. After all, he knew that screwing up like that would make him feel bad. However, Kanon was starting to learn.
初めてで下手なのは当たり前です。それから逃げてたら永遠に何も学べない。何にも至れない。
そうさ。だからこそ人は上達を実感して面白くなるんじゃねえかよ。私だって最初はさ、右手と左手が別々に動くってだけでもう全然ダメだったぜ。でも少しずつコツが分かってくるとさ、だんだん当たり前になってきて。
僕もその境地に至りたいです。そのための道の一つにお嬢様との音楽活動があるなら、ぜひご一緒させてください。
本当に？
はい。きっと最初は不出来でお嬢様を失望させてしまうこともあるでしょう。でも本気でやっての失敗だったら、それは清々しいものに違いないとさっきお嬢様たちに教わりましたから。
照れるぜ。
お嬢様のことをもっと好きになりました。あなたは太陽のような人なのに、僕こんなにもずっと近くにいたのにそれに気づけなかった。
じゃあもっと好きになってもらえるように頑張っちゃうぜ。いや
Kanon's serious and competitive words were more than enough to make Jessica shy. However, Kanon's expression unexpectedly clouded.
僕がお嬢様を好きになれる理由はこんなにもはっきりしています。だからわからなくて辛いです。
何が？
お嬢様が僕を好きになる理由です。お嬢様と違い、僕は何も照らしてない。今だってお嬢様に照らされながらその背中についていってるだけです。そんなみすぼらしい僕をお嬢様が好きになる理由が何一つ思いつかないんです。
そんなことはないぜ。カノン君にだっていいところはいっぱいある。
恥を忍んでお聞きします。お嬢様は僕の何が気に入られたのですか？
Kanon hung his head. Since he had never learned anything on his own, he had never been able to take the initiative with her in any way. The fact that he was accepting her affection one-sidedly, unable to do anything but simply receive it, made him sad and frustrated at himself. Jessica was lost for words. After all, compared to the reason that Kanon had started to love Jessica, Jessica's reason was a lot more vague. She had heard Shannon talking about her love with George, and at school, she and her friends had always talked about relationships with boys. There would have been nothing strange about a girl, fascinated by the idea of romance, developing an interest in a nearby member of the opposite sex. However, if you put that into words, it might be misinterpreted to mean that any nearby boy would have done just as well. However, she could still be proud of the feelings she felt at this very instant. She really did love Kanon, and she truly wanted to experience romance. As a result, they might end up together, or they might not. However, if she reached that result without holding back, she could accept it no matter which it was. That's why she was able to become serious and honest about how she felt. However, she couldn't find the right words to tell Kanon this. When Kanon saw Jessica bite her lower lip in frustration, he finally realized.
バカだな、僕は。 僕のどこが気に入ったんですかなんて質問、本当にバカらしいと思ったんです。自分に本気じゃないから自分のことさえ理解できてない証拠なんだ。そんなことをお嬢様に言わせようとするなんて、僕は最低だ。
そんなことないよ。女の子だって男子に告白されたら最初に聞いてみたい質問だもん。自分のどこを気に入ってくれたのって。
それを相手に尋ねる時点で僕は未熟なんです。そんな未熟者に気に入ってもらえるようなものがあるわけがない。
いや、そうじゃなくて
Jessica panicked, trying desperately to explain how she felt. However, Kanon was calm, and then he spoke.
だから僕がお嬢様を好きになるように、お嬢様にも僕を好きになってほしい。そのために僕は自分を変えていくことにします。今はまだこんな自分をお嬢様に好きになってもらえるとは到底思えません。でもいつか必ず。
ああ、絶対素敵なカノン君になれるよ。私がベタベタに惚れちゃうくらいの素敵な男の子になれる。私はそれまでずっと一緒にいるから。時間なんていくらでもある。
ただ時間がそうないのが悔やまれます。
時間って？
家具の話をするとお嬢様が悲しまれます。でも話さなければなりません。そしてそれは僕が本気で戦わなければならないことでもあるのです。
何の話？家具だから恋ができないとか、そういう話ならもう聞きたくないよ。カノン君は家具なんかじゃない、人間だよ。
はい、だから人間になろうと思います。ですがまだ家具なんです。
ならなろうよ、人間に。
かつて魔女は教えてくれました。この世の一なる元素、それは愛だと。それはこの世に住まう人間は当たり前のように享受できるものです。しかし家具として生み出されたこの世ならざる身には当たり前ではないのです。その当たり前でないものを得るには魔法か奇跡が必要なんです。
In just the same way that Nisan and George-sama would never have ended up as they have without borrowing the power of that golden butterfly brooch.
さっきからこれがわからないの。
何がわからぬというか聞かせよ。
今回のゲームが始まり、短くない時間がシャノンやカノンの恋への決意に割かれてきたわ。それ自体は自らを家具と蔑んできた少年少女の青春の決意と成長の物語と好意的に見てもいい。でも2人のある前提にさっきから強い違和感を覚えるの。
なぜ魔法が必要なのかであるか。
シャノンもカノンも、いえ、あえて家具と呼ぶわ。家具たちは最初から一貫して人間とは恋愛ができないと主張してきた。そこに黄金蝶のブローチという魔法が介在し、その魔法という奇跡の結果、ジョージお兄ちゃんとの恋愛が成立した。そう主張してるわ。
身分の違いによる許されぬ恋が実るのは魔法の奇跡でもないことにはありえぬと、そう考えたとしても無理はあるまい。
そうね。だから使用人の身分であるシャノンとカノンが共に後宮家の人間に恋をし、 許されざる恋に苦悩して自らを家具と卑下したとしても、それは納得できるの。
ではそなたの納得できない点とは？
再び魔法の力がなければ結婚はできない。それがシャノンとカノンの2人の共通認識になってる。これがどうしてもよく理解できないの。
After meeting in secret for quite some time, George and Shannon had finally gotten engaged. Both were fully prepared for it emotionally. And though there would be some trouble with their relatives, it would probably be impossible for anyone to prevent their marriage by this point.
結ばれようとする2人の間に立つなぞ。飛ぶ矢の前に立ちてそれをつかもうとするにも等しい愚行よ。
そういうこと。伴侶を生涯守りきると誓ったジョージお兄ちゃんにとって両親の反対や感動さえ恐れるものではない。むしろそれらさえも彼女への愛を示すちょうどいい試練だとさえ思っているわ。つまり2人は必ず結婚する。誰も拒めない。そして2人は婚約を快諾した。
誰にも拒めない、阻めない、馬に蹴られてなんとやらであるな。
そう。だから不思議なの。魔法なんて必要ない。
If George and Shannon had wanted Eva's approval for their engagement, then magic might really have been necessary. After all, Eva had forbidden his relationship with her. No matter how much George spoke on Shannon's behalf, the chances of Eva being convinced were very near zero. If that were the case, it would be understandable if they wanted a magical miracle to make Eva acknowledge that engagement.
しかし、ジョージお兄ちゃんはきっぱりと誓ってるわ。両親に婚約を認められなくても構わないと。そう。2人の婚約を阻む理由は何も存在しないの。そしてそれはシャノンだってよく知ってるはず。なのになぜ彼女はこの順風満帆な婚約を受けたこの夜になおも魔法の奇跡を祈るの？
魔法の奇跡を得なければ結ばれる資格もないというのが家具たちの主張であるな。
つまりこういうこと。シャノンはジョージの婚約を受けているけど、魔法の奇跡がなければ成就されない障害が残っていると知っていることになる。そしてその障害は2人の努力では取り除けないとも。だから魔法という奇跡が必要。どうして魔法がいるの？愛し合う2人に結ばれるための他にどんな奇跡が必要だっていうの？
ふむ、なるほど。
Feathering listened to Angie's interpretation, smiling in a satisfied way. Apparently, she had already reached that conclusion and enjoyed watching Angie finally manage to do the same.
そしてその疑問はカノンにも向けられるわ。ジェシカお姉ちゃんとの恋路は始まったばかりだけど、2人の気持ちはまっすぐ。何の障害もないわ。黄金蝶のブローチの力なんか関係なく、もう恋仲に慣れてる。何年もの交際を経て、やがては結婚に行き着いても何もおかしくない。こっちも障害は何も存在しないのよ。
クラウスと夏日に結婚を認めさせようと思わない限り、こちらもまた魔法の奇跡は必要なさそうであるね。
そういうこと。シャノンの生き方を見てカノンもまた生き方を変えた。そして素直な気持ちを伝え、ジェシカお姉ちゃんと2人で恋路を歩み始めた。必要ないのよ、もはや魔法は。片思いの相手になら恋のおまじないも必要かもしれない。でももはや両者は相思相愛、意思も疎通できてる。なのにどうしてその上魔法の奇跡が必要なの？
Both furniture were in relationships of mutual love. There shouldn't have been any need for a miracle any longer. So why? Do they still desire some miracle? And on top of that, the single brush was portrayed as bestowing only a single miracle. It felt almost as though Shannon was hesitating because if she used up that miracle for herself, Kanon's chances at love would be automatically sealed away for eternity.
つまりこういうことよ。どうして家具は恋をしてはいけないの？
魔法という奇跡なくしてはなぜ恋が許されぬことになっているのかが。
そして頑なに恋ができないと嘆いていた家具たちにそれを許すことのできる黄金蝶のブローチって一体何だっていうの？
もちろん魔法の結晶であるぞ。ただし多くの魔法と同様に半魔法の毒素で焼かれもする。
つまり魔女や魔法を信じる者にしか効果がないということなんですね。
その通りだ。よってわらわと交流することができたシャノンにはその効果を発揮した。しかしもしシャノンがそのブローチを砂浜に落とし何も知らぬ者が拾ったとしたら、その者が半魔法の毒をまとっていたらブローチの魔法は力を発揮できない。そういうことだ。魔女のアイテムは直接の手渡しでなければ力を失うことが多いということだ。しかし魔女の存在を大勢の人間が認めることで半魔法の毒素がなくなり権限することができるのと同じに、大勢の人間がそのアイテムの魔力を信じれば逆に魔力を
皮肉な話ですね。私たち魔女がどんな魔法を授けてもそれを受け取れるかどうかは全て人間次第なんですね。
薬もそうだと聞いているぞ。同じ薬を飲んでもその効果を知らされている人間にはより大きい効果が出るという。
ちょっとわかります。風邪薬とか飲んだ時薬効の解説書とか読んでると薬の効きがいいような気がしますよね。
As she listened, Bito thought that magic sounded a bit like a ritual. When most humans think of magic, they think of incredible miracles being performed one after another in front of a crowd of other humans. However, this true magic that the older sister spoke of sounded almost like a ritual, something that has no effect if the person using it doesn't believe. Shannon's heart was captured by George bit by bit as he grew by leaps and bounds. However, she had given up, thinking that one of a different class such as herself would never find love with him. That was when Beatrice had given her the golden butterfly brooch and encouraged her. Giving up means that you've got zero chance of success. However, if the power of magic makes you think there might be some chance of your wish coming true, then the odds of it happening are at least greater than zero. Zero means zero forever, so miracle is a fitting word to describe even a faint chance coming into an existence. Humans can use magic to defeat resignation, the process by which they themselves make their probability of success zero. When a human refuses to give up, though their chances of success may be small, those chances do exist. And the more determined they become, the greater those odds rise. It was easy to imagine Shannon making earnest wishes upon that brush, believing in its effect, and trying little things over and over to again to get George to like her.
信じる力が魔法になる。
そしてそれを信じさせる者が魔女だ。
Those who make others believe are witches. That's an interesting way to put it. If you think about it, it's true. Let's say a witch steps out into a spotlight, waves her staff in front of a crowd of onlookers, and makes a rabbit appear out of thin air. The many people who see it will surely assume it to be a sleight of hand. They might wonder how it was accomplished, but they'll surely say that it couldn't have been real magic, and when they applaud, it will be for a splendid trick that only appeared to be magic. But what if? What if someone performed a sacred ceremony inside a great ancient temple in front of a crowd of believers, and ended up with the exact same result? Would any of the people there think it was a sleight of hand? In fact, in the ancient past, when magic tricks as a form of entertainment didn't even exist and divine spirits were worshipped, this would doubtlessly have been a miracle of magic. Miracle.
ならこれは魔法になるでしょうか。
ほう、魔法の使いの魔女のそなたが初めて振るう魔法とはどんなものか。
ここに空の紅茶のカップがあります。中身は空です。
うん、空っぽであるぞ。それから
これをこうしてテーブルの上に伏せておきます。
それから
はい、一緒に目を閉じて魔法の呪文を唱えます。
It was the same magic that had been used to give Maria candies. Bito the elder grinned and closed her eyes. When she saw this, Bito slowly chanted the incantation.
さあさあ思い出してごらんなさい。カップの中に何が入っていたのか。
うん。さあさあ思い出してごらんなさい。カップの中に何が入っていたのか。
As she chanted, Bito slowly opened her eyes and made sure that the older sister was repeating her with her eyes closed. Then, a single gold butterfly appeared out of nowhere, fluttered down onto the overturned cup, and scattered away in the golden splash.
もうよいか、目を開けても。
はい、目を開けてカップの中身を改めてください。
さてさて、そなたが初めて使う魔法はいかほどのものか。
Taking her time and dragging out the suspense a little, the older sister lifted up the cup.
おや？
いかがでしょうか。
When the cup was lifted up, there lay a single golden rose petal.
これは魔法になるでしょうか。
うん、なるとも。そなたが魔法にて伏せたカップの中に黄金の花びらを生み出した。見事な魔法であったぞ。
Here's another gold truth.
愛がなければ見えない。それは理解できてるの。これを手品だと断じるもよし、魔法だと信じるもよし、そのものの毒素次第であろうな。でもこれはかつての魔法の一部を説明はできるけど、全てを説明することはできないわ。話を戻すけれど、この程度の魔法やおまじないを信じるという程度の話では、堅くなに恋ができないと嘆いていた家具たちにそれを許すことのできる黄金蝶のブローチとは一体何かという問いに答えられない。そこにいる2人のベアとの話を鵜呑みにするなら、魔法には彼らの諦めを取り除く力があると考えるのが妥当であろう。どうして家具は恋をしてはいけないの？どうして魔法のブローチの力が必要なの？確かにあんたやベアトたちの話は一見、それにおぼろげとはいえ答えを与えているような気がする。でも朗読者だから言わせて、それでは納得がいかないの。納得とは 家具たちはもっともっと悲壮な宿命に抗おうとしているわ。恋愛成就のお守りを託されたくらいで自己改革ができる程度のものだったとは思えないの。現にシャノンはかつてジョージお兄ちゃんとの出会いのきっかけを作ったのはブローチのおかげだけど、それ以降は魔法の力を借りずに関係を深めたいと言ってベアトにブローチを返そうとさえしたわ。彼女はその時点で一度は魔法の奇跡と決別したはずなのに、なぜ再びその力を必要としているの？
さて、恋と結婚は別物としか言いようがないであろうな。
Feathering laughed lightly. She had probably formed a theory of her own and was laughing at Angie, who hadn't reached it yet.
聞かせてよ、あんたの見解。
もう少し寝かせたい。それに疑問を持ち思考を巡らすそなたを見ることもまた朗読の楽しみだ。私の見解を話せばそなたはそれに納得し思考を止める。それでは朗読が面白くない。
すでに答えを知ってる推理小説を読ませて右往左往するところを見て楽しんでるってわけね。
それが感激の魔女というものだ。悪趣味と笑いたくば笑うがよい。我が巫女よ。
わははは。
I understand that part of magic is created by a believing heart, and that magic probably permeates deep into the world of us humans as well. However, though it permeates so far, the power that dwells within magic is small. Lots of people visit shrines to pray for success on tests. However, people rarely credit such a visit as the reason for their success. By itself, praying does little more than give one peace of mind. In love, where even a small chance and a little bit of courage can result in major changes, this power can sometimes bring about incredible transformations. However, would something like that really be enough to change the insurmountable fate of furniture? In the past, when Shannon and George were brought together, I imagined that the brush's magical power functioned as little more than a ritualistic charm. However, by now, the magical power that the furniture seek from that brooch, it's not something as vague as a ritual. It feels much stronger, like a whole different interpretation of magic. If you believe in a sleight of hand, it becomes magic. But that's no more than a child's trick, and that only explains one part of magic. They are hoping for something. They're hoping for something with much, much more power. For true magic, not a sleight of hand.
家具たちは黄金蝶のブローチにどんな魔法を期待しているという
の？黄金蝶のブローチ？
黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェが霊境を割るのと引き換えにシャノンに与えた恋を成就させる魔法のお守り。これがそれです。
From his pocket, Kanon pulled a single wing from a gold butterfly. Though it was a single wing, it was easy to tell from its shape that it had originally been part of something with a butterfly motif.
このブローチの魔法はシャノンにジョージ様と恋仲になる機会を与えました。しかしそれを最後まで成就する前に僕に譲りました。だから僕はこのブローチの力でお嬢様の好意を得ました。
そんなわけないよ。私がカノン君を好きになったのは自分の素直な気持ちだぜ。
ありがとうございます。お嬢様は人間だから魔女も魔法も信じない。無理もないことです。しかし魔法で生み出された家具の僕がここに存在すること自体が魔法の奇跡の存在する証拠なのです。
ごめん。何の話？
Jessica tried to make sense of Kanon's words. However, she couldn't understand and had to ask him to repeat it, wearing a stiff smile.
僕のシャノン、恋を成就させるには魔法が必要なのです。そのための鍵がこのブローチ。僕が踏んで割ったので、僕たちは一つずつ持ち合っています。
The brooch had lost its power when it was split in half. However, if it was ever joined together again, its magic would be revived. It would revive the miraculous power that could join furniture and a human together.
しかし、一つのブローチは一人の願いしか叶えない。家具の僕たちはこの一つのブローチによってどちらかしか結ばれ得ないのです。
That was the final seed of love, a spark of love, which the old shrilly laughing Beatrice had sown. The old Beatrice had said that humans tormented by this spark were like ripe fruit, which she crudely used for her own enjoyment. However, the magic infused within this seed was real. It was the only crystallization of magic that the Golden Witch Beatrice ever left in this world. Its glint increased.
大丈夫です。
Oh.
でも直接は見ないで目をやられます。
The glint grew even stronger, shining like the sun. Even without Kanon's warning, Jessica wouldn't have been able to stop herself from covering her eyes with her hands. As the light grew stronger, a sound like the roar of the wind or the tide also grew in intensity. The sound of the wind and rain outside had already been overwhelmed. Jessica could no longer even stand, and she crouched on the floor. A flood of sound and light. Until it withdrew, Jessica could do nothing but moan. This is going somewhere.
Sa, 今は大丈夫ですよ。急ぎましょう。
お父様が甘いものをお好きだといいのですが。
ええ、お好きですもの。甘いものに限らず、何でもよくお召し上がりになりますよ。
After waiting for the master of the room to be out, Bito and Kumasawa entered the study. Then they quickly cleaned up the books on the desk, set down the basket they had brought there, and opened it up. Inside were several cute cookies cut out in a butterfly shape. They set out a pretty plate and neatly arranged the cookies on it. It was the kind of subtle, conscientious touch that the recipient wasn't likely to even notice. The whole arrangement was filled with that sort of feeling.
愛しのお父様とやらのために精が出るな。
今の私に許されていることはこんなことくらいですので。
わらわがバトラにクッキーをか。なぜに夜の支配者であるわらわが稀な客人であるバトラにそこまで尽くすのかわからぬ。
Then the study door swung violently open. It was Bador, with Genji by his side. Bador's eyes went wide for a second when he saw Bito there, but his expression quickly went blank again.
ここで何をしている？
お父様、失礼しました。決して大切なゲームの邪魔に来たわけでは。
どうしてここに入れた？ここには鍵がかかっていたはず。
申し訳ございません。親方様に内密で差し入れをお届けしたいとのことで、私が鍵をお貸ししました。
ほら、見てあげてくださいませ。親方様に喜んでもらおうと ベアトリーチェ様が一生懸命クッキーを焼いたんですよ。
熊沢さんと源氏さんに習いました。源氏さんがクッキーを焼くのがお上手だったなんてとても驚きました。
最近は全然ですけど、昔の源氏さんはそれはもういろいろなお料理を作ってくれたんですよ。特にお菓子作りはお上手で。
クッキー？
はい、お父様への差し入れです。大切なゲームの必勝を心よりお祈りいたしております。
Battler looked at the plate on the study desk that was piled up with beautiful cookies and the message card of encouragement lying next to it. And his face twisted with a complex expression, which might have been one of sadness and might have been one of hatred. Genji urged him to consider saying some words of gratitude to Bito. Battler understood. Anyone would be pleased to receive an act of kindness like this. Even though he understood it logically, he couldn't help but give a small, exasperated sigh.
ありがとう。感謝する。だが甘いものは苦手だ。下げてくれ。
親方様。
同じことをもう一度言わせるな。片付けて下がってくれ。
親方様、せめて一口お口に運ばれるわけには参りませんか。ベアトリーチェ様が親方様のためを思いこしらえたものでございます。
気持ちはありがたく受け取っておく。今は大切なゲームの最中だ。俺にとってもベアトにとっても大切な最後のゲームなんだ。だから頼む。俺の心をかき乱すような真似は慎んでくれ。
それはあまりにもひどうございます。気持ちは感謝する。大いに結構でございます。しかしそれをせめて一口お召しになる形ではお示しできませんか。
お父様。
Bito looked at Battler sadly. Battler hung his head to avoid her gaze. The expression on his face caused Bito more pain than any he had shown her before.
熊沢、それを片付け下がるように。
親方様。
Kumasawa clung to Battler, but he turned his back to her.
失礼しました。片付けましょう、熊沢さ
ん。そういうわけには参りません。大切なゲームに少しでも力添えしたいベアトリーチェ様がせめてこのような形でもお力になりたいと頑張られた差し入れでございます。それ一口さえせずに下げろとは女をバカにするにも程がございます。
熊沢、
親方様も男ならば女の手作りの差し入れにせめてどうか一口で結構でございますのでお手をつけてくださいまし。女の気持ちを踏みにじろうというおつもりでしたらこの熊沢殺されたってここは引きませんよ。引きません。
熊沢さん、もう結構ですから。
そういうわけには参りません。親方様、これに毒でも入っているとお思いですか。
Yeah. If Bito ever came to give me cookies, of course I'd figure that she'd put some kind of crazy poison in them. And she's asking me if I think there's poison in these. Who would expect? That cookie's piled up in such a neat and cute way. Could possibly have something bizarre hidden inside them. And anyway, who could possibly imagine Bito making something like this? Because of that, Battler couldn't bear to look at Bito's innocent reaction, which was completely free from any malicious thoughts, like slipping poison into cookies. Bito quietly started to clean up. Every now and then, she sniffled. Kumasawa continued to glare at Battle, but she then gave a small sigh and helped Bito clean up. However, the hardness didn't disappear from her expression.
失礼しました。お父様。それでは失礼いたします。
呼ぶな。俺をお父様と呼ぶな。ベアトは俺をそんな呼び方をしたことは一度もない。
はい。失礼いたしました。
Hanging her head so low that her chin touched her chest, Bito hurried out of the study. After giving Battler a look, Kumasawa chased after her. Kumasawa threw the door open a bit violently, and the footsteps of the pair rapidly disappeared off into the distance.
実の妹が言うのもなんだけど、複雑な気持ちだわ。
相手がベートでさえなければ素直に女の敵と言えるのにか。
私はお兄ちゃんとベアトがどうして慣れ合ってるのかさっぱりわからない。今思ってベアトは倒すべき私たちの最大の敵だと思ってる。でもだからといってあのお兄ちゃんの対応は女として愉快じゃないわ。
バトラの気持ちも少しはわかるがな。悲しいことだ。
I still don't understand what kind of antagonism or connection there was between them. However, Oni-chan probably viewed Bito as a friendly rival, if not something more. Oni-chan's reason for defeating Bito isn't to destroy an enemy out of hatred. It feels like he wants to give a sincere answer to her questions. Yes, I can't deny the fact that their fight isn't based on hatred, but on a stronger emotion.
さらに言えば、あそこまで冷たくされて、それでもなおお兄ちゃんに尽くそうとするベアトも大したもんだわ。もう一人の姉のベアトと私も同意見よ。どうしてお兄ちゃんにあそこまで尽くすのか理解できないわ。
そしてその理解できぬ要素は1000年を経て変化を遂げるとはいえ、紛れもなく我々の知る黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェに受け継がれるものである。
ええ、理解しているわ。このベアトを知ることもまたやがてのベアトを知ることにつながる。そしてそれはこのおかしなゲームで最大の大駒と、あるいはこのゲーム版そのものを説明するかもしれない。
謎多き魔女であるな。
Though she said those words, Feathery wore a confident smile on her face. Her sarcastic confidence, as though she already knew the answer, was unchanged.
ベアトリーチェ、話を聞きたいわ。
はい、何でしょうか、エンジェさん。
When Angie asked her question, Bito, who had been reading a fragment book in the shadows of the library, jumped.
あなたはなんで後ろ宮バトラをお父様と呼ぶの？
私という駒を生み出してくださったからです。
ではどうして後ろ宮バトラにそこまで尽くすの？駒は生み出した造物種に絶対服従しなくてはならないルールでもあるの？
そんなルールはない。駒は道具、あるいはナイフだ。 ゲームマスターが上手に扱えば便利な道具になる。しかし扱いを間違えれば自らを傷つけもする。道具になろうと凶器になろうと、そこに道具の意志はない。ただ結果があるだけだ。
じゃあどうしてあんたはお兄ちゃんにアームを尽くすの？まるでそれはあなたという駒の目的かのようだわ。
はい、それが私が生み出された目的だからです。
あんたを生み出したお兄ちゃん自身がその目的を与えたの？
それは違う。バトラはゲームマスターとしてそういう役目を持った駒を盤上に置いたに過ぎない。そして彼女という駒を生み出したのはこのゲームを生み出した最初のゲームマスターであるベアトリーチェ自身だ。
ややこしい話だわ。つまりあんたはお兄ちゃんのことをお父様お父様呼んでるけど、別に父親ってわけじゃないのね。あんたはお兄ちゃんに尽くさなければならないという目的のために親しみを込めてお父様と呼んでるだけだわ。
はい、そうだと思います。私という駒をお父様が盤上に置かなければ私という駒の出番はありません。ですから私がここにこうして存在し、そして私の目的のために尽くせるのは全てお父様のおかげなのです。
なるほど。そしてそれはお父様と呼ぶのにふさわしいってわけね。じゃあ誰があんたにお兄ちゃんに尽くすように命じたの？ああ、それは初代ゲームマスターのベアト自身よね。ややこしい。
なぜにそなたは後宮バトラに尽くさねばならぬのかと尋ねたいのであろう。しかしそれを彼女に答えることはできぬ。彼女に与えられたのは目的だけだ。その目的を与えた動機は与えた本人にしかわからぬのだから。
なるほど。それも考えてみるがいい人の子よってわけね。でついでにあんたにはもうその察しがついていて、ニヤニヤしながら私が悩んでいるのを見ているってわけだわ。
そなたは我が巫女としてつくづく優秀だ。
私はお父様に尽くします。私の存在がお父様の幸福のお役に立てる、それが私の一番の喜びです。そして
At that point, Bito hesitated.
何？
Okay, that's good. Bye!